Right guys, we've made it to game week 7 of this championship season. We've got some pretty juicy fixtures on the horizon, all of which I'm interested to get your take on in the comments down below. As always, do drop a like if you're going to enjoy, but without any further ado, let's jump into the matches. Starting out with the Friday game we've got this weekend, that sees Plymouth going up against Luton Town. Now Plymouth had a bit of a bounce in that last home game they had against Sunderland, but that can be quickly evaporated, especially in the league as brutal as the championship. It was a slim margin of victory for West Brom against Plymouth last time out, but looking at the upcoming fixture list, Plymouth won't have it easy in their next 3 or so matches. They've got games to come against Luton, Burnley and Blackburn. Obviously 3 sides who you don't really want to be facing right now. In terms of Luton, they've put a bit of a dodgy start to the season behind them after securing back-to-back wins in the championship. Good win last time out against Sheffield Wednesday. Plymouth will make things tricky for sides, especially at home park, but I think I see the momentum at Luton right now, and I'm going to back them to ride it through in this game. Score prediction for me in that one, I'm going to go 2-1 Luton. I think they're starting to score a few more goals. I'm not convinced that Plymouth keep a clean sheet in that one. Next then to Ewood Park for the first of the Saturday early kickoffs. We've got Blackburn going up against QPR. Now I obviously got to see Blackburn up close and personal over the weekend as they travelled to Deepdale. Didn't think they were great, to be honest. Weren't really able to take advantage of having the extra man for the majority of the second half. Didn't really get their forwards into the game and they weren't really able to craft out many clear-cut chances. But in the game where they didn't play that well, they still kept a clean sheet and managed to grind out a draw in the end. I think that's something that Blackburn squad definitely wasn't capable of last season, especially not under John Dahl Thomason. This one will be tricky though. They're going up against a QPR side who, generally speaking, have been pretty solid themselves. They've only lost 1 of their opening 6 matches. Have been really draw heavy so far, QPR. I wouldn't be surprised if this game heads in that sort of direction. Score prediction for me here, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between these two. Hard to separate right now, I think. The next early kickoff we've got in the Championship sees Derby County going up against Norwich City. Not much to separate these two sides coming into this weekend. There's only 1 point to separate them based on their opening 6 matches. Now, Derby really have had the winning formula at Pride Park so far this season. They boasted a flawless record in all of their home matches, and this incredible home run actually stretches back to last season as well. They've actually won their last 9 competitive matches in the league at Pride Park, which I think is an absolutely unbelievable record. Obviously, the atmosphere they're able to generate there, how hard they make themselves to break down. They have really frustrated sides so far this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same to Norwich in this one. Now, to be fair to Norwich, was really impressed with them last time out as they obviously put 4 goals past Watford. They're yet to put together back-to-back wins. I think it will be a case of when Norwich do find that consistent flow, they will start to put the points together and become a real serious challenger for the top 6 this season. But whether or not they're quite there yet, I'm not so sure. I've just got the feeling this is going to be a game where Norwich dominate it and Derby end up scoring off a set piece or something like that and just grind it out. Score prediction there, I'm going to go 1-0 Derby and back the good home run to continue. Next then we go to Hillsborough for Sheffield Wednesday up against West Brom. It's Sheffield Wednesday currently sat in the relegation zone going up against the table toppers in West Brom, who have been so impressive so far this season. Now, to be fair to Sheffield Wednesday, while results haven't really backed it up, I do think performance levels have improved in recent weeks. I thought they were a lot better against QPR, and that game against Luton certainly wasn't anything to be ashamed about. On another day, they could have got a point from that game. But this isn't the ideal sort of fixture that you want, especially when you are desperate for some points on the board. West Brom, so impressive at both ends of the pitch so far this season. Wednesday are definitely capable of putting in a performance, especially at Hillsborough. But I think it's hard to look past West Brom, especially with the run they're on right now. Score prediction in that game, I'm going to go 2-1 to the Baggies. Next then we are going into the Saturday 3 PM kickoffs. We've got Hull City going up against Cardiff. Are Cardiff going to get any sort of a post-Errol Bullock bounce? I'm not so sure. From a Hull perspective, obviously, their first win of the season last time out, beating Stoke City 3-1. I still think they've got a long way to go before they get anywhere close to matching the sort of levels they were at last season, but that result last weekend against Stoke will definitely be a huge confidence booster and a relief off everyone's shoulders, really, especially in some of those home games where I think things have looked a little bit tense, whether that's the players themselves or the atmosphere and stuff like that. I think this is a really good opportunity for Hull to string together back-to-back wins. Cardiff, who just haven't had much about them so far this season, the worst scoring record in the division, not brilliant creative stats. Whether Bullock leaving will have any sort of impact on this one, it very well could, but score prediction for me personally, I'm going to go 1-0 Hull in that game. I do fancy them for a win in that one. Next up we go to Ellen Road for Leeds United up against Coventry. At the start of the season, I'm sure most Leeds fans would have pinpointed this as a really tough looking match, but generally speaking, I think this looks like a decent time to be playing Coventry, who haven't started the season well. I do think there will become a point where things should click into gear and they start to build up the table, but whether this game is the start of that, I'm not so sure. It was a good solid win for Leeds last time out, beating Cardiff 2-0. It is worth pointing out that last season Coventry did have the beating of Leeds. They went unbeaten against Daniel Farke's men in both of their meetings with them last season, but it doesn't feel like Coventry are on that same level right now. Their midfield's just been too easy to bypass, and thinking of some of the players that Leeds have in their 11 who can punish you when you do leave gaps in your side, I think I am favouring a Leeds result in this one. Score prediction for me, I'm going to favour Leeds for a 2-0 home win in that game. After that, we'll head to the Riverside for Middlesbrough up against Stoke City. It was a less than ideal start for Narcis Plach in at the Stoke dugout. Last time out, losing his opener 3-1 against Hull City. This one you'd expect to be an even bigger challenge, albeit against the Borough side who have been quite spotty in terms of their results so far this season. But Michael Carrick's men still top the championship table in terms of chances created this season. Yes, they have been very wasteful, especially in a lot of their home matches. You know, they've only won one of their 3 home games so far this season, but this is the sort of match you expect Middlesbrough to be on top for. They will get into a lot of good areas. It's just a question of whether Stoke can be resilient enough, hit them on the counters at the right points like Preston and Portsmouth were able to. Middlesbrough have just been a really dodgy side to predict so far this season, so don't take this prediction as gospel or anything like that, but I am going to back Borough for all 3 points in this one. Score prediction there, I'm going to go 2-1 Middlesbrough. I just feel like there's got to be a point of the season where the goals start to flood in for them. Next then we go to Millwall up against Preston North End. Don't imagine there'll be all too much in this one, to be honest with you. Two sides who have had fairly similar starts to the season. After 6 matches, both teams have got 5 points on the board, so either side could really do with a win in this one to get their second win of the season on the board. From a Preston perspective, the concern right now is where do the regular goals come from? Emile Rees hasn't really looked up to it so far this season, and there is the concern that Osmajic will be hit with a massive ban after biting Beck in that Blackburn fixture. As of recording, nothing's been announced in terms of a potential ban for Osmajic, but I think we as Preston fans expect that to come, and it's a shame really, because I think this game against good solid Millwall side is exactly the sort of game where Osmajic would probably thrive. I think this one screams of a draw or a sort of 1 goal either way sort of affair. Prediction for me in this one, I'm going to go for a 1-1er. Don't think there'll be a great deal to separate these two. This should be an interesting fixture. Next up, we've got Oxford going up against Burnley, obviously. Oxford, who boast a flawless home record so far this season. All 3 matches they've managed to translate into 3 points. Haven't quite had the same luck on the road so far this season, but they'll definitely fancy themselves to give Burnley a good game in this one. And it's up against a Burnley side who, on paper, have started the season really well. Results have been pretty consistent for Scott Parker's side. On the eye test, I'm still yet to be blown away by a Burnley performance so far this season. Even in the game they put 5 goals past Cardiff, it didn't really feel like that sort of match. It was just Burnley sort of clinical finishing which saw the Bluebirds off in that one. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the sort of game where Oxford are actually the side who have the better chances, but Burnley can just be so clinical, especially when they're breaking on transitions. I don't like backing against Oxford at home, but I just got a feeling that Burnley are going to win this one. Score prediction there, I'm going to go 2-1 Burnley on the road, but you never know with Oxford at home. After that, we go to Fratton Park for Portsmouth up against Sheffield United. The fixture list just being absolutely relentless for Pompey, isn't it? They came so close to grabbing a point away at Turf Moor last time. I think a point away at Burnley would have been a really good result for them, only for Josh Brownhill to pop up with a 94th minute winner to sink John Mousinho's side. I think this game will be equally as tough. Sheffield United haven't tended to give away that much to the opposition so far this season, obviously. It was a solid win for them last time out, beating Derby 1-0. Portsmouth will put up a good fight in this one. I just think the extra quality of Sheffield United will see them through this fixture. Score prediction in that game, I'm going to go 2-0 to the Blades on the road. Next then we go to Watford up against Sunderland. Watford will be keen to bounce back from last time losing 4-1 against Norwich. Important to remember coming into this fixture, Sunderland will have had a longer break as obviously Watford were in action last night against Manchester City. So expect a few of those Sunderland players to definitely be a bit fresher than the Watford boys coming into this one. Speaking of Sunderland, brilliant way to bounce back from that defeat against Plymouth with all 3 points against Middlesbrough. Chris Rigg making the difference in that game. Sunderland undoubtedly come into this fixture as the favourites. Has felt like Watford have been tailing off a little bit in recent performances after what was a really good start to the season, winning their first 3 matches. Score prediction for me in this game, I'm going to go 3-1 Sunderland on the road. I do fancy the Black Cats for another big performance there. And then to finish things off on Sunday, we've got Swansea going up against Bristol City. Swansea have put together some really nice results of late. It was a brilliant result and performance for them last time out, beating Coventry. And they'll probably fancy their chances against Bristol City in this one. For Bristol City's case, it was a good win for them over the weekend against Oxford, albeit they have been a little bit dodgy in some of their away matches this season. They have shown that when they are under the cosh, especially away from home, they do have the capability of just going under a little bit, and Swansea will surely be licking their lips at that prospect. First goal feels quite big in this one. I do think if Bristol City score first, they do have it in them to hold on, but concede first, they could go under, as we sort of saw in those Derby and Blackburn away games. Score prediction for me in this one, I'm going to go Swansea. I'm going to go 2-0 Swansea in that one. Could go either way. I've just got a good feeling about them at the moment. Well, guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Get your score predictions in the comments down below. But other than that, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.